Hi everybody, I've been on an old digital camera kick lately. Last week I shot with a Canon 30D and today I'll be shooting with a Canon 10D and a Canon 35mm EF f2.0 lens, just like on the 30D last week. The Canon 10D is a dinosaur, but it takes remarkable film-like images. The 10D is a 6.3 megapixel camera that came out in 2003. 6.3 megapixels isn't a lot, but it's acceptable for medium to large size prints. The camera is slow and clunky, so don't expect to do any action shooting with it. But if you like a slower pace shooting landscapes, still lifes, portraits and the like, it's hard to duplicate the images the 10D produces. There are two LCD displays in the camera, one in back of the camera and one on top. The one on the back of the camera is really tiny, as you can see. Even though it's very small, it supports a histogram view, which is very important. The 10D supports RAW mode along with single frame, AI focus, and AI Servo focusing modes, like the more advanced cameras. There are also the familiar flash exposure compensation and autofocus point selector buttons on the upper right of the body. The 10D has 7 autofocus points that are very easy to control. The camera supports the basic shooting modes such as manual, aperture, and shutter priority. Like I mentioned in the 30D video, forget about the other modes, since they're pretty much worthless. Just stick with manual, aperture, and shutter priority modes. Since the 10D, like the 30D, has an APS-C or crop sensor, you need to multiply the focal length of the lens you're using by 1.6. This yields 56mm for the 35mm lens. The images produced by the 10D really remind me of images from the first full-frame sensor Canon 5D, commonly called the Mark I. It was Canon's first full-frame sensor camera, and there was something really unique about the images it produced. They just seemed softer and were very film-like, and you know that's the way the 10D is, only with an APS-C sensor. For this video, I shot in the backyard. It's closing in on the end of October, and the days are shorter, it's colder, and the garden is dying out quickly. Milkweed seeds are popping, floating the seeds in the wind everywhere, and I just wanted to catch the last gasp of the flowers and plants before they die for the season. It's been a few years since I've shot with the 10D, and I forgot how rich the images look. The contrast is sharp, and so are the images, great saturation. With this vintage DSLR, it's kind of like shooting with an old 35mm film camera. You just have to have a little bit of patience. Here's a magnified view in Lightroom. Notice that the detail is really good. Also, the controls on the right, you can tell this is a completely unretouched image, straight out of the camera. You can get a good Canon 10D body for well under $100. I've seen them for as low as $25 on eBay, and they appear to be in pretty good condition. Would I recommend a 10D for someone just learning how to use a DSLR? No. I think a faster camera with a larger LCD display in the back, such as the 30D, would be a better investment. But if you have some experience with DSLRs and want a really cheap camera that produces stunning landscapes, portraits, still lifes, and the like, you cannot beat a Canon 10D. Well, as always, thanks for watching. This is Jeff, and I'll talk with you soon.